Welcome to tonight's show. I apologize for the delay. We were just experiencing some technical difficulties. As you know, in this virtual realm, we will experience that. But I want to welcome you guys all in. My name is Juana Estrada. I am the event manager at Latinas in Tech. If you can feel free to add in the chat where you're located right now and joining us from. I'm actually located in Chicago. Chicago right now is unfortunately really gloomy and cold, so it's a little bummer. Um, but I appreciate to all of you guys who are joining us today. Can you guys hear me really well? Are you guys hearing me clearly? Just want to make sure that the audio is working well for you guys. Feel free to add in the chat where you're located from, where you're joining us from right now. Awesome. Greetings from Las Vegas. I'm jealous. Los Angeles. Okay. Do you guys want to switch? Because I will more than happily enjoy the beautiful sunshine you guys have right now. I'm looking at the chat now and it looks like awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have you guys all here with us today. We have waiting for us to just listen in and get some snippets of wisdom. But before we get started with our speakers today, I do want us to quickly just give a quick intro on Latinas in Tech and welcome you guys to our clan. And for our today, quick shout out to our sponsored event, which is Candace, and also to all of you guys for joining us tonight. I know a lot of you guys are clocking in after work, so I really genuinely appreciate you all being here and joining us from Japan. That is amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Brazil, I really love all of that. Thank you all so much. To any of you guys here who actually, this is your first event, Latinas in Tech, welcome to all of you ladies. As I mentioned, my name is Juana Estrada, and I am the event manager here at the organization. And so our little but mighty and strong group of women here, we work as a nonprofit to empower and to encourage women like yourself who are Latinas and who are looking to, prosper, advance in their careers, right? We offer professional development programming, recruiting opportunities like this event today, where we connect you to different types of organizations who are looking to hire on Latinas and also empower Latinas within their organization. But most importantly, we care a lot about representation, right? Our motto is to provide the resources that's needed to help empower Latinas within tech. So if today is your first event with us, welcome to our clan and welcome to our event. And I also want to just encourage you that if you want to be a member of Latinas in Tech, it requires a very simple step, and that is just to go on to latinasintech.org and then just register. And then after that, you are now a member of our 1,700 plus group of women. We have over 20 chapters around the cities, and also to over 400 companies that we represent. So again, feel free to connect with us through register there, and there you'll find all of our upcoming events like today's event, and also other opportunities such as networking opportunities, chapter events, and also to recruiting opportunities as well. So before we kick off today's event, we have a couple of housekeeping rules. We just ask that today you revert to the Q&A or the chat. If you have any questions for our panelists. Today's event actually structured through Hopin, and so what we do say is that after the 1 hour of the section of us like doing the lightning talks, we're going to head into 30-minute sessions, 30 minutes of 20-minute sessions with our speakers. So you'll get a chance to directly connect with them one-on-one at the end if you want to ask them questions directly. But with that, I would like to join onto our screen. Let me just stop sharing my screen. I would like to welcome Yesenia Carrillo, who will then introduce our first speaker. Yesenia?
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. So, for those of you who obviously a lot of you don't know me, my name is Yesenia Carrillo, and I am a senior culture and engagement project manager at Cadence. And for those of you who are getting to know Cadence for the first time, at Cadence, our technology is critical to creating a better, more connected world. And we really do that by providing the software, hardware, and intellectual property that enable our customers to create revolutionary products and experiences. And really, our people are at the foundation and at the center of what we do at Cadence. And we are very committed to fostering inclusion where employees can do meaningful work and achieve their full potential. And that's something that I'm really involved with at Cadence. We look at increasing our diversity and inclusion, and really putting on events like this to, further promote our people of color, especially within the technology. So we're very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to host our first Latinas in Tech event. So to showcase some of our Cadence women and the valuable experience they have to share today, we have a few speakers here, and our first speaker is Paula Matias, who is a principal product engineer at Cadence and is located actually in Brazil. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paula and hear from her.
Thank you, Yesenia. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. All right. All right. And now you see my screen. Let's get going. All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Paula Matias. I'm a principal product engineer at Cadence. I am really happy, really excited to be here, sharing a little bit of my experience with you. In this talk, in this lightning talk, I'm going to share a few tips about how to improve your communication. They are supposed to be very practical, very punctual tips with examples. They mostly focus on written communication, but some of them will also touch on basic aspects of our daily routine, like scheduling meetings, reaching out to people. Some of them might seem obvious, but we often forget to do the obvious in our day to day. So hopefully, some of these tips will help you, no matter in which stage of your career you're in. So I'm Brazilian and I'm also located in Brazil. I'm located in the capital of the state of Minas Gerais. I'm a product engineer at Cadence and I'm also an MBA candidate. I'm studying in data science and analytics right now. And I'm passionate about soft skills. Communication and interpersonal relationships are topics which really excite me. So I was more than happy to join this wonderful event. Um, I joined Cadence as an intern back in 2014. After a year, I was hired as a full-time engineer in the quality assurance team. And after three and a half years, I moved to the product team, which is my team until today. And I've structured this lightning talk into these three eras, right? These three stages of my career, in which I'll share a couple of challenges that I faced on each stage. Not the only challenges that were faced and that I still do, and some learnings that I extracted from these challenges. But before that, yes, I am going to touch on my high school era just to kind of set the tone for this lightning talk. So, when I was still in high school, I had a lot of trouble deciding what I was going to study in the university. I had so many diverse interests. Even though I've always liked physics, chemistry, and math, I've always loved to write and to read. So I was having so much trouble deciding that I thought some counseling, career counseling, would be good. And one thing that my counselor told me back then, which it took me years to actually live it myself and confirm it myself, is that being a good communicator will make you stand out, no matter which path you chose in your career. So even if you chose a very technical path, being a good communicator, making your point across well and being concise and clear will not only make you stand out as your role and position, but it will also make it more pleasant for people to work with you, and that's always a plus. So let's get started. When I was an intern back in 2014, I was really building bridges. I had to bond remotely with teams across the world in different cultures, And they were a very high ranked team from which I needed a lot of knowledge. And this can be very intimidating. So, my tips, the learning that I extracted from this time in my life is the first thing, don't be afraid to ask questions. People in general, they react really well when someone wants information, when someone wants to grow, when someone wants to learn. So if you're struggling with a concept, don't try to learn it all by yourself. It will be faster if you ask questions. It will be more practical, and also it gives you opportunity to call people. Don't be afraid to call them, because it gives you a chance to create a more personal relationship with them, and this will add uh, in a very positive way to your career. So don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask for help. When I moved to the quality engineering team and I became a full-time engineer, I started to have more responsibilities, and this impacted in more people interested in my work. And I had to write more reports to different teams. So I really had to dedicate myself to being good at reporting my work. And I needed to ensure that I would get replied, I would be heard. So the learnings that I would like to share with you is, the first one is that you need to help people reply to you. This means that you need to increase your chances of being replied in an email thread, in a meeting, or on your communicator in your company. And I have examples following. And the second is that you need to help people see important information. Don't make people struggle. Don't make people work to see important information that you want to be seen across. So whenever you're asking questions, for example, in your email, you could write a big block of text with a bunch of questions. Chances are people will only reply to half of your questions. So make sure that you create a structure, add bullet points, add numbers. This helps the person reply to you even when they are structuring their reply back to you, and it makes it very visible when they fail to answer to one of your questions. If you're reporting the result of a work, right? So in this case, I benchmarked awesome feature number 5. I could just write a report, a PowerPoint, and say, please find attached the results. People will not, unless it's that one person who is extremely interested in your work, or your manager, they won't look at the full presentation. It doesn't stick. So make sure you add the highlights, make sure you add the lowlights, emphasize the information, and also write your assessment or your conclusion. Because especially if this work is gating something, make sure that you share your thoughts. It becomes clear that you're a person who is comfortable in sharing your opinion. And if you are in need of someone's reply or someone's action item, don't be afraid to call them out. So if you highlight their names, it's not aggressive, it's not rude. We all receive too many emails. So I find it very helpful when I see clearly that someone needs my help in an email thread. So don't be afraid to call people's names out. When I moved to the product engineering team, I started to lead different customer collaborations, which I still do right now. And I started to coordinate the work between multiple R&D teams. And this is very key. More people started to rely on my feedback. So I had to really orchestrate well. I have to orchestrate well my routine and my communication with people. And the answer to that, which is the hardest thing to do, is to work smarter, right? We need to lead more effective meetings. And this is very important. If people rely on your feedback, do not leave them hanging. So in the first point, what do I mean by keep meetings effective? So if you have a collaboration in which you have weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings, so something constant with a customer or with different teams within your company, make sure that meetings need to stay interesting, stay relevant, and stay effective. So one tip that I would like to share is, if possible, share and define and share your agenda in advance. So whenever people join your call, they know what to expect. So in this example, for example, we say that there will be a technical presentation on awesome feature number 5, and that there will also be a review on the status of open action items. So I already ask people to come prepared. So instead of showing up and being unsure of what the meeting is about, make sure that you suggest something to be prepared. This gives the opportunity for people to drop a call if there are no subjects which are pertinent to them. It gives people the chance to cancel the call if there is no relevant agenda, and it gives the chance for everyone to be prepared and make the most out of it. So you become really mindful about people's schedules, busy schedules. Also, whenever you're leading a meeting, I one tip that I have for you is for you to bring your meeting notes on the screen. So this gives a chance for everyone to read the same thing, to agree on the same topics. And one thing that is really important is that you make people accountable for their action items whenever it's on their names. So it's very different when you read it and instead of when someone only describes the issue. So this gives a chance for everyone to be aligned. And finally, speaking about don't not leaving people hanging. What do I mean by that? So if I receive a request, an email, or a ping on Teams, Skype, Slack, whatever it is that everyone uses in your company. So I received this ping. The slides are due this Friday. So I could start working on them so that the next time I reply to that person, I would already have my work done. But if I don't, they cannot know that I'm working on this. They can't know that I'm aware of this request. They can't know that I saw this message. So it creates anxiety. So whenever you receive a request for your feedback for a work to be performed, make sure that you acknowledge this request. And this doesn't mean get it done immediately. You can say that you'll be delayed. You can say that you are late in delivering something. You can say ETA is next week, 2 weeks from now, 1 month. It's okay. But you reduce anxiety when you acknowledge the request. So as takeaways, don't be afraid to ask questions and really connect to people. You build personal relations and relationships, and you learn a lot faster. Make sure that you work to have people reply to you, emphasize important information and calls for action when needed, and lead effective meetings. Be mindful of people's times, prepare in advance. And finally, do not leave people hanging. Whenever you can, acknowledge their requests so you prevent anxiety. Thank you very much for listening. And now I would like to welcome Tamara Andrade, who's a software engineer at Cadence, and she will be discussing overcoming shyness and becoming a speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, everyone. So while I'm just waiting to present, just a second, please. Okay, so hello, everyone. Tamara, and today I'm gonna share with you how I was able to overcome shyness and became a speaker. So, to start things off, let me introduce myself. As I said, my name is Tamara. I'm from Brazil, and I'm a lead software engineer at Cadence. I'm also a woman in power, as well as lead of knowledge initiatives and so today I'm going to choose this topic because it's something that really is important to me, and I think the lessons that I learned it could be helpful for all of you. And to start things off, I want to welcome you to my life to really understand this place where I'm coming from. So to start things out, I was your regular kid, nothing different. I was even doing theater, and I could not see a microphone that I was on the stage and singing. And I can guarantee that I don't sing well today. As a kid, it was even worse. But then that and I got really shy. So I was the person who was afraid or didn't want to talk even with some close friends and even with my family course during high school, and I got really afraid of speaking in public or speaking with different people. And during the college years and even in my early career, I was usually the person behind the curtain who was doing the presentations. For example, was I was putting my heart and soul into the slides and doing the work behind the scenes, but I was never the person who was getting to the stage to present that. But then I start something's happened, and this start to change up until the point where in 2019 I was already able to speak in public and was already doing some talks. Even throughout pandemic, I was able to join some conference as a speaker and some other events where I was able to share. And not only I was sharing some things that I really love and was passionate about, I really found an immense love for doing this, for being here and talk with different people about topics that I love so much. So how did that shy teenage girl from that to this person who is here today with you and really excited to be here? So I'm gonna share with you my journey, what I learned in each of the steps, and I hope those will help you also accomplish that. So, as any great story, mine starts with a horror story. So, in my case, it was some. I was given the assignment to prepare a presentation, and as usual, I prepared the presentation. I knew the topic very well, but I thought that I was just going to do the slides and someone else was going to present. I was really shocked when the meeting has started and someone gave me that pointer thing and said, "Okay, Tamara, you can start." I didn't know I could say no at the time, so I started presenting, and it was horrible, really horrible. And gonna I'm not gonna sugarcoat it in any way. It was really terrible. And at that moment, what was important for me, what I took from that is that would never want to be in that position. I knew the topic, I knew the content of the presentation, but I wasn't prepared to be speaking in public about that. So here's my first lesson for you is to find your motivation. Mine was a matter of I don't want to go through that again, but your motivation might be different from mine. So on chapter 2 was when I got an unplanned mentorship. So my boss at the time, he was at the meeting, he saw how terrible everything went. And again, he didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't pat my back and said everything's going to be okay. What he did was even more important than that because he sat down with me over the next weeks and months and we worked together on how can I improve myself. He gave me tips of the different ways I could be speaking and how to improve that and really help me build the confidence that I have today. So the tip here for you, the lesson that I want to give you is to seek support if you are going through something like that. There may be people who are around you that can help you make this part or work on this and become better at this matter. On chapter 3 was when I finally started understanding the algorithm presentations. And by great presentations, I'm not just saying PowerPoints and talking conference, but really presenting myself in meetings, presenting myself to people. And you can go on Google and find lots of tips, but I'm going to leave you with the one that I think is most important here is to tell stories, because this is what people remember. So if you are telling a story, the people will remember that and will connect you with connect better with the story or what we are saying. On chapter 4 was when I realized that I was my worst enemy. I was starting to speak more on meetings and in my inner circle, but I was still really self-conscious about everything. Was am I asking the right questions? Am I giving the correct answers? Am I speaking correctly? Am I mispronouncing something? Everything it was in my head, and it got me really nervous to the point where I was starting to regress on the progress that I was doing. But then I realized that these were all something that I was telling myself. Nobody told me those things. So my lesson for you here is to not be so hard on yourself. Don't let those voices in your head control what you are thinking and what you are doing. On chapter 5, this is very connected to the one before, is about getting feedbacks, and I will just jump into the lesson because I think this is very important. That is to prepare yourself for getting and for receiving feedbacks, as well as to ask for feedbacks, because feedbacks, they are important because they can help you understand what you're doing well and that you should continue, but most important, it help you understand what can you do better. And preparing yourself for feedbacks is very important because sometimes those feedbacks will be negative. And people might not be good with the words to tell you in a way that will not hurt you. So be prepared to receive negative feedbacks and to learn from them, to learn what you can take from that and improve on yourself. And people usually don't go around giving feedbacks. So you may need to ask. So find peers, find colleagues, find people who are around you that can give you feedback. On chapter 6 is when I started putting on a mask, because I'm not gonna lie to you that up until today, sometimes I get really nervous. And for example, today is not different. I was kind of nervous before starting everything. And what really been helping me to go through that is to put on this mask, because once again, there's voices on my head. They start questioning, or you are not good enough to be speaking, or your presentation is not good enough. People will not understand what you're saying, lots of things. But when I come and to speak with people, and I've been doing that for as long as I can remember, uh, when I'm doing that, I put on this mask of this very confident and calm person, and I believe it might be working. You can tell me, uh, but what I take from that is that when I'm doing that, I'm actually getting used to feeling that. And putting on this mask actually helps me a lot. So my lesson here is for you to fake until you make it. Actually, to fake until you become, because we are getting more comfortable with this feeling, and we actually start to it starts to be more natural to us. So on chapter 7 was when I started putting myself out there. And this is very important because we cannot stay on this theoretical field where we are improving ourselves. We actually need to do that. And the only way we can do that is to actually put ourselves out there. This was no different for this chance to be here speaking with you today, when Cadence sent out a form asking for people who like to volunteer for things like that. I was just, okay, I'm here. I can do that. And this really help us to improve ourselves, because we cannot get better at something that we don't know where we stand. So my lesson here is for you to make yourself available for this opportunity, and don't miss those opportunities when they come, because you might feel like we are not ready for that. We may not ever feel ready enough, but we need to start doing those things. And to finish things off, this is as I mentioned, we can always get better. So there is not really an end here. We are improving ourselves. But the lesson that I want to give you from this end part is to enjoy this progress, enjoy this path that you are walking, and be proud of yourself. Be proud of what we accomplished so far. Celebrate these victories. So when I went from not being able to speak and to be on a room with maybe 10 people and actually speaking and being happy with that, that was a moment that I should celebrate. And this is no different for all of you. So thank you a lot for being here today. I hope I gave you some tips that might help you. All my contacts, they are available at my site, so you can contact me if you want to talk more about that. And we also have the sessions before, so feel free to come hang out. I'll be more than happy to get to know you and to maybe answer a few of your questions. And with that, I would like to invite Graciele Pose, as Senior Principal Software Engineer at Cadence, covering how to stand out.
Thank you, Tamara. Let me share my screen. Okay. Let's see if that's sharing. Okay. So yeah, hello everybody. So I'm Graciele. I'm also from Brazil, but I don't work in the Brazil's office. I work in a different group than Paula and Tamara, but I know very well their work, and I know they are great. So it's a great pleasure to be sharing the stage with them. So I work, let me put my slide here. So I work in Austin, Texas, but today actually I'm in Brazil. I'm visiting my family here, and I live in south of Brazil. Like Cadence office is in Belo Horizonte, is going more like in the center of Brazil, and I live really in the south of Brazil. So I did all my studies in Brazil, like my bachelor, my master, my PhD, and they were all in computer science. I went a little time at University of Minnesota, and my main topic of the study is on EDA. And now at Cadence, I work with the global routing. It's doing like basically for the integrated circuits, we are connecting, doing all the connections inside it. And I work a lot with C++ coding just to understand a little bit some of my examples. And at the same time, I'm a mom of this little one. She's 2 years old. And I have a dog as well. He's a little older. And yeah, so that is my a little busy work because I go through those as well. So let's go to the topic. How to stand out. So you want to be known by the good things you do. And standing out means that your manager and your team, they recognizes your hard work. And they are able to trust that you are going to deliver a quality project. They're going to trust to give you very good projects to work on. But then how can you start doing that? So I will start like giving some tips. So to me, the first thing is to be honest. So, and that means like not always saying like you know everything, because sometimes we get very scared about like, oh, they are going to think I don't know anything. They won't trust me. If I don't know this, they will think I'm like stupid, or those like all of those kind of things came to our mind. So speak up if you're not sure about something. So and that was some advices from my manager, and he was saying like, it's fine if you don't know, if you don't remember, just tell the people, I'm going to check, and after I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to check with someone, I'm going to check the code, but like it's fine if you don't remember, if you don't know. And that is actually a very good advice. But of course, remember to get back to the people. So remember that we'll give you some, the people will trust you if you always get back. Also, when you are sure about something, show why you are sure about it. Explain, show pictures, flowchart, like a piece of code, everything. So in that way, the people will be able to trust on what you are saying, because they know like that is something you studied, and that is proving like A plus B equals C, why that is the result. So here I will share an example. So the first opportunity I had, so I started as an intern in the company, and then the first opportunity I had like to share something and to show myself among my team and other teams actually was in a project where we want to make it the full for the tool, like the tool many customers were using. And I got that task, and I start like that was going to a committee with different leaders in the company. I didn't know, people didn't know me as well, so I was totally lost in that meeting. But I was the people collecting information, and I was the people going through the process. So what I did, like we had the benchmarks, like several designs, and we had like to show the results, and some results were changing, others were not. And for the results that were changing, I went through and created like a big PowerPoint presentation with every small detail, like why this is changing, why the result is going this way, why the result is going that way. I was just trying to think like if I was in the committee, what I wanna look, what I wanna see. And that actually went very well. And it was approved, but that was just like a very small thing I was doing. And I was just like lost on that. So then that time I didn't know that my dedication and my careful work was leaving an impression with some of those leaders. And 3 4 years later I went to San Jose because I work in Austin, and then two of those leaders we just crossed by, and then they were talking, oh, I remember like you did a great job, like you were showing a lot of details. I never have seen something like that. So it was very detailed with every result and everything that made our life so easy. And I got so impressed with that. I still get impressed, like, and happy about that. So when the people are recognizing your work, like, is always a step in the right direction. Like you feel like, yes, I'm doing something good and I can go in this direction. But that took me some time to recognize what happened. So it was 3 or 4 years. Another thing like that comes to what I just told is to do more than what is expected. So I did more than what was expected. I didn't realize because I was new, I was just starting. And when I showed all the details, so the leaders got a good impression about me. And they start to be like trusting on me. So something that is very good is to get this trust from the people. So keep your promise and also like show a lot of respect. Another thing, like, is not like be the person that do more than what is expected, but also keep the promises. If you're promising something for a customer, for example, it's very important you're going to keep that promise and you're going to make it. Otherwise, that if you're not able by some reason, of course, sometimes something happens, please always be very open to communicate with your manager, with other people, and say if something came up, like be honest, be transparent, because that will always keep a very good impression and people will be able to trust on you. And that is very important. So leading also involves being available to support your teammates, being a colleague that is willing to help and teach your teammates. So that is a great quality to have. Not only does that show you are a team player, but it shows that you are willing to guide your team in the right direction when that is needed. And be a go-to person is very good, not only because it gives you credibility, but it also is going to improve your network because you start to know more people. And when you are helping people, you get more like friends, and that becomes a very good relationship. So, and the networking is so important. So if you want like standing out in a company, it begins with building your personal brand and also like getting a good network. So if others, your teammates, like they remember you, they see you as a good person, a trustable person, they are going to present, like they will remember that, and they are going to start presenting you to other people, and that will increase your network. So that is very important. And the last but not the least, it's about your branding. Branding yourself is important when you want to grow within a company. So what are the others remember about you? What they think when your name comes up? What they think, like you are a quality, a person that works with very high quality, a nice person. So it's a combination of your skills, your personality, your values, and that is very important. So if your brand now, like people are perceiving you in a way you think it's not good, you don't wanna, it's like it's time to start doing small changes. So you can start with very small changes, like giving some detailed information, very small steps, and getting the people to know you by what you wanted them to know you. So in that way, you can have a very good perception and you can have your brand out. So in that will make you more confident, of course, and also people will trust on you. And a good brand is like we have several brands we know, like they just show up and you see like, oh, this is a very good brand. So you wanted people to know your name, like and see your name and thinking about very good things about you. So that's all from my side. Thank you for listening. I would now like to welcome Janet Green. So she is the marketing group director who will discuss advancing your personal career through personal development. Thank you.
Thanks, Gracieli. Hi, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen here in a minute. There. That should be good, I hope. If you can see my speaker notes, let me know. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeanette Zelaya Gwynn. First of all, I just want to thank Latinas in Tech, their community, and also for the colleagues at Cadence that have given me this opportunity to share my story. And hopefully it'll be insightful to you all. So I'm just going to dive right in. They call me Jay-Z. This is my attempt at trying to sound cool. It doesn't work all the time, but that's okay. The Z is for my maiden name, Zelaya, or as my dad would say, Zelaya. My dad is from El Salvador, and my mom is from Portugal. She's actually from the Azores. And if you don't know where that is, look it up because it's pretty fascinating. I was born and raised in California. I did at the Bay Area, to be specific. I'm currently in San Jose, didn't go very far. And when I decided to go very far, I told my parents, I was 16 years old at the time, and I said, I'm going to go off to college and I'm going to go to UC Davis. So if any of you are in that Latin type of close-knit family, you can understand that when I told my parents that I was going to college 2 hours away, it was like I had just died. I mean, they dropped me off on my first day of school and there were tears, and it was just a catastrophe that I was going so far from home. But it was the best learning experience ever. And this is essentially the start of my career. And it started by getting a phone call. It was my second quarter at UC Davis. I was a freshman. By that time, I had just turned 17, and my parents had filed for bankruptcy. So I had many choices. And the ones I was considering is, do I switch to a school where it's a little bit more affordable, or do I stick it out, figure this out, make it work? And so I decided to make it work. I worked 3 jobs to get myself through college. 2 of them were in the restaurant industry. And let me just say, if you've ever worked in restaurants, especially here in the Bay Area, Spanish is put to good use there. So that allowed me to go from starting off as a hostess to a manager at some of these restaurants. So I was able to get through college. I graduated with 2 degrees and $3 to my name, but 0 debt. And you know, it was through that experience and working at the restaurants that I landed my first corporate job. And it was via one of the coworkers at one of the restaurants. And I got a job. My first job a week after graduating from UC Davis was at Oracle. And that's where it all started. So where am I now? I've got 2 little girls. 8-year-old Mia and 6-year-old Zoe, and I am often very much a part of the Mimi's and Zozo's show because it's just the chaotic life that I live. I am running the demand gen marketing organization at Cadence, and I'm also sitting on the board of directors at Child Advocates. So personal development, and I'm just going to talk about how I did not make time for development, and a lot of what's happened with my growth. What's happened, and there goes my dog barking. What's happened with my growth, and the dog's going to keep on barking. So hold on 1 second. What's happened? This is multitasking in the new world that we live in. What's happened in my growth the last 2 years is been pretty crazy. And a lot of it, I mean, it happened right after the pandemic happened. So I was in a role at Cadence, and at the time, 2 years ago, I was managing a team of about 4 people. And then I was given an opportunity to expand. And where I'm at right now is it's a worldwide team of almost 30 people. And I had to develop significantly in order to go from managing and overseeing just a small subset of what marketing did to what the team is doing now. And that involves a lot of growth. I had to let go. I was an individual contributor, and I had to let go of projects and trust people, not just folks within the organization, but also myself, trust the decisions that I was going to make. Allow mistakes to happen because they will happen. It's the inevitable. And, know that people are going to do things their way. And that's okay. And I can learn from them. And that's something I try to do with the team, with myself all the time, is that I expect the group to learn from each other. And so folks that have been doing this for 20 plus years will be able to learn from the folks that have just started off their career. It's an environment where we learn from each other always. Also, in the last 2 years, I decided to take an opportunity, a position that was given to me to join the board of directors with Child Advocates of Silicon Valley. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, basically, prior to becoming a mom, I wanted to be a CASA, and that is a court-appointed special advocate. You're working with children that are neglected or abused, and they're in the foster care system. So I went to the orientation. I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I went through the training, got fingerprinted, the whole thing. And I selected a 15-year-old Latina girl. And essentially, I became her voice, her legal voice. So if it was a parent-teacher conference, I was her voice in that classroom with her. If it was in the courtroom, I was her voice and witnessed her dad, who was a meth addict, pretty much relinquish all parental rights to her. This was it just opened up so many things and got me outside of the bubble that I was in the Bay Area. And so I became her unofficial mentor. I was able to figure out how I could use the tools that I had in such a limited environment to try and make the best out of the situations I was in. So fast forward to 2 years ago, I really wanted to get back into being involved with the CASA community. I got an opportunity to sit on the board, and now it's just the exposure that I get beyond tech, right? So sitting on the board, I've learned from so many different individuals who, again, have been working for most of their lives or have just started off their careers of different backgrounds as well. And it's just been an amazing experience. And so the other things that I do as well, I had an opportunity to be the lead of the Latinx inclusion group here at Cadence. We call it Cadencia, and I think that sounds amazing. But again, the opportunity to learn from others within the Latin community in Cadence. I also had a chance to interview the grandson of Cesar Chavez, Anthony Chavez. And while I knew Cesar Chavez and his story, I didn't necessarily understand the impact that it made on the community. So there's so much growth there just from learning from him, the other folks in the Cadencia organization. It's just been eye-opening. I also extended myself, and I sit on the Women in Tech committee at Cadence. And mind you, I'm sure you've already figured out, I'm not a tech person. I'm in the tech world, but I'm in marketing. And getting that kind of exposure to other female leaders at Cadence has been definitely beneficial to my growth as well. And then lastly, in my spare time, and this is the story I tell people about how there was a gift that I got from the pandemic. And while, yes, our world has been flipped upside down and it's been chaotic, I will say that prior to 2 years ago and me jumping into this new role and everything else that I was doing, I would come home late at night. My kids were 4 and 6 at that time, and it was either putting them to bed or they were already asleep. And so I got the gift of time with my family. And while I never attempt to balance work and life, I always attempt to manage it as best as I can. So being at home allows me to be a mom, and I love it. And I never thought I would love it as much as I do. So I've got two crazy softball fanatics. I started being an assistant coach for my daughter's softball team. I did the next 2 seasons for her all-star team, took those teams to their first ever championships and won. And then I also joined the board of directors for our local Little League organization here. Now, if you ever want to learn how to manage a group of people, coach 7 and 8-year-old kids, my goodness, I take some of the lessons that I learned from the field, I take it to work, I take it to my family life. It's amazing what I got out of that experience. And again, exposure to people outside of my normal circle of people that I networked with. The lady that is the assistant coach with me for the last 2 seasons, she's at a Cadence competitor. She's in sales at Synopsys. I've met people at LinkedIn. There's just so many folks that I never would have interacted with. And being part of the softball organization has definitely given me that exposure. And then Cadence gave me a ton of opportunities as well. So I did, again, this was all in the last 2 years, I did a 12-month lead program for Women Unlimited. If you've not heard of this program, it is amazing. I got access to other women professionals, mentors. I had never had mentors in my life, and there were 2 that were assigned to me that I spoke to regularly. And it was just opening up to folks that were outside of the Cadence world. And then I also got to do a 6-month executive leadership program at UC Berkeley. Again, exposure to folks that I never would have interacted with, the professionals, the professors that were teaching us these classes. These are all things that I just didn't have access to before. And I think that had I been given the opportunity prior to me going on this path to grow, I probably would have said, nope, too busy. I've got too much to do, and I would have ignored it out. Being able to take that step and go a little bit outside of my comfort zone is how I was able to grow. So I will say that if there's key takeaways I want you to take from this is there's a saying that I learned from Women Unlimited. I love it. I say a lot to myself. I say it to the team, is to strive for excellence, not perfection. It's okay to own up to your mistakes, acknowledge them, learn, and move on. The second thing, mentorship, especially from female executives. It gives you access to opportunities, and it helped cultivate my own confidence that I didn't have before. And believe me, especially in this dominated business world that we're in, it is essential to growth. And you need to have those folks that are your cheerleaders. So they taught me how to be self-aware, gave me a sense of direction, and continued motivation. And this is such a helpful thing that I didn't have before. And I was able to get to that point through great mentors. And then third, continue to educate yourself. Like I said, I never made time for it. Cadence definitely provided me with those opportunities. And if you don't have those opportunities, there is so much power in just reading. read, read, read. I did a lot of reading, online books, whatever. Just keep going. And so I'll end with a quick little story. And, I've got, like I said, a 6 and 8-year-old. And last month I went to the movie theaters for the first time in a very, very long time. And I took them to go see Encanto. And if you don't know what that is Disney's all Latino film. And it's amazing. Just go see it. It's going to be on Disney Plus on December 24th. There were just some key moments, and I laughed, cried, the whole thing. It was just a really inspirational. What I took away from there is some key points. And I just realized I wasn't continuing with my deck here. Sorry about that. Be there for your loved ones, right? And I think that I ignored that for a while, and the importance of having a family. And I say this all the time, it takes a village to get to wherever you want to go. Remember your self-worth and how important that is. And perfection is not sustainable. So instead of using gifts to be perfect in the movie, they figured out a way how to use them the way that they wanted to use them. And that's how they grew. So I leave you with that. Start networking now. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am more than happy to connect and continue talking after this session. So with that, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day, evening, and thanks again.
Thank you so much for this final presentation. I think that all of us here today who are watching have taken away so many amazing feedbacks and just tools that we can now utilize on our own journeys, right? I do want to now encourage for all of the women who are speaking today and join their sessions if they have access to. So the way to go about that is if you go onto the left panel and you click on sessions, you should be able to see the sessions that are available to you to now begin to network directly with our speakers. So with that, I encourage all of you guys to join one of the sessions. And if you have any issues going into that, please feel free to comment below in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to assist you with that. With that, I now encourage you guys to now join your sessions.